In this lesson, we will clean up our control rig. Remember, this step involves going through and moving all of our controls, making sure everything's working just fine. We also want to use transform to 0 to make sure that this will bring our rig back to the skin pose. We also want to check the meshes that we've added skin wraps to. So let's go ahead and check the hair. If we were to grab, let's say, our head control as we start to rotate that around, that looks good. But what happens when we grab the upper jaw control? Let's go ahead and put this to the test by rotating back quite a bit. And you can see that when we move too far, the hair starts to cave in. So these are some things we want to check for. So we can start to adjust our settings. With the hair selected, we'll go ahead and find our fall off, distance, influence, and face limit. I'll go ahead and start with the face limit. We'll start to just drop that, and you can see we get some more volume back. But it still looks pretty harsh. So now we can go ahead and move up to the distance influence parameter and start to drop that just a bit. Not too low, because if we do, we'll notice that our points will start to stray. So we'll go ahead and start to bring this up a bit more. I'd say to about 2.5. I think that works out very well. Alright, so that looks really nice. We'll grab the upper jaw again. We'll start to rotate this around. Fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and use transform to 0 to bring that back. Now, something else to check for is scaling the entire rig. Let's go ahead and grab the neck control. We'll grab our scale gizmo and take a look. Alright, the objects that we have skin wrapped do not scale properly. If this happens, this is actually really simple to fix because of a great feature that's integrated into the skin wrap. Let's go ahead and scroll down until we find Convert to Skin. So this is going to take all of that weighting we see and it's going to transfer all of that back to our bone objects. That way we have no scaling issues. So let's go ahead and choose Convert to Skin. Now let's go ahead and trash the skin wrap. It's no longer needed. And watch, when we go ahead and start rescaling our control rig, the hair scales just fine. But what happens when we start to add some rotation? Well, you'll see that we get the same result. How cool is that? Alright, great. So let's do the same thing for the eyebrows. Again, once you find good values for your skin wrap, you can then go ahead and convert to skin and then trash this skin wrap modifier. So everything should scale just fine. Let's go ahead and start to move our controls. Good stuff. Let's do the same thing on the right side. Convert to skin. We'll get rid of the skin wrap. Alright, what's next? What we do is go ahead and start to hide layers that should not be visible right now. The hidden layer is already hidden. Let's go ahead and hide the skeleton and our targets. Great. We'll also temporarily hide our controls so we can go ahead and add our mesh smooth nodes. Now remember, when it comes to the hair and the eyebrows, we'll make sure that they all get tied to one mesh smooth node, but we couldn't add the face because they reference the facial deformations. Alright, so with all three selected, we'll go ahead and add our mesh smooth. Alright, great. And now we can go ahead and marquee select and grab the other objects. We'll deselect the hair. We'll just alt click. That should be all we need to deselect. So let's go in and add just one more mesh smooth node. Alright, sweet. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and create a custom parameter. We could always add that to our neck control. So, since that acts as our global control, we might as well add it there. So that's selected. We'll first add our attribute holder, and we'll rename it to extra controls. Let's now use Alt-1 to access our parameter editor. We'll name the parameter smoothing. Remember, we'll want to work with an integer type, so it matches the parameter that we're tying into this. Our from value is fine. Our to value will be set to 2. Yes, that's kind of funny. 2. Anyway, let's make sure it's set to that, and that will be our max range. Alright, let's now go ahead and choose add. So it's now time to wire our parameters. Let's go ahead and grab the wire parameter dialog. So it's going to be modified object, extra controls, custom attributes, smoothing. Let's go ahead and click on the face. That's going to be modified object, mesh smooth, iterations. And that's going to be a direct connection. So when we do that, since our parameter is set to 0, that's not only going to set the face to low res, but the other objects as well, like the eyes and the teeth. Alrighty. Now let's go ahead and take care of the hair and the eyebrows. So again, we'll right click, our parameters, modified object, extra controls, custom attributes, smoothing. And we'll go ahead and click on the hair. Modified object, there it is, mesh smooth iterations. Do a direct connection. Alright, so the hair and the eyebrows are low res. Let's go ahead and set smoothing to 1. Great stuff. Alright, so you'll see that we are now able to get a more polished look to the face. Now, what do we have left to do? Well, we should go through and lock our controls. Let's start at the top. We know that the facial control should not be moved. It's only used to drive our facial expressions. Alright, so with that selected, we'll go to our hierarchy panel. And remember, we work with link info. So you might be under pivot, but we'll want to switch over to link info so we can go ahead and lock down our transforms. So let's go ahead and lock down movement, rotation, and scale. We'll go to the head control next, and we'll lock movement and scale. So get the idea, we just want to go through and figure out how the control should move. And based off of that, we know what to lock and what to leave unlocked. So how about the upper jaw? Well, we know that we'll want to lock movement and scale. Same thing goes for the lower jaw. So we'll leave rotation free. Now the brows, remember, we want to be able to scale them as well as move them and rotate. So we won't be locking anything on our brow controls. How about the eyes? For the main controller, we'll lock down scale, but we'll want to leave rotation for googly eyes. That never gets old. Alright. We could also leave movement, of course. Sweet. How about the subcontrollers? Well, we'll lock down scale and rotation, because they won't do anything for us. So make sure we're not able to transform using rotation nor our scaling control with these subcontrollers. The neck control, we won't lock anything, so we can go ahead and globally move the rig. We'll also be able to reorient it, and it's now resizable. Alright, very fun. Great, so I think that's everything. That finishes up our work in this lesson, so by the end we have a very clean control system for animators to use. So in the next lesson we'll cover your assignment for Volume 4.